Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. We got some surprising and unfortunate IR news yesterday. Our Darius Washington was placed on IR for a chest injury, and that's a shame, man. He was a dog, balling out for us in the slot. I loved what I was seeing from our Darius Washington. Loved what I saw from him all preseason long. Was happy for him to make the team. John Harbaugh said in his press conference on Monday that there were no IR moves and none of the injuries were serious. He didn't even mention our Darius Washington at all. But they obviously found something. Not good at all to lose our Darius Washington. I would expect that Arthur Maulet is coming back, and he has to be our starting slot guy because this guy has not practiced the majority of the offseason, has been inactive every week, and still made the 53. They're still keeping him on the 53. So whatever the coaches have seen from Arthur Maulet, and I don't know, I am not backing this up. This is not my opinion. I have no idea. I haven't seen enough of Arthur Maulet to even form an opinion. I talked to a few Steelers friends that I have, and they don't like him at all. They think he's terrible. But I think we're going to use him in a specialized role, only nickel, only slot, and special teams. So hopefully he can shine there. I remember he did a press conference a few months ago, and he said that's where they would use him, and that's what he does best. So I'm expecting that they're pretty high on him because why are you keeping him on the 53 all this time? You let a lot of guys go, and you decided to keep Arthur Maulet. So I would assume that Arthur Maulet is going to start this week and play slot corner for us. Now, the other cloud hanging over this situation is when is Marlon Humphrey coming back? I don't know. We'll see the practice report today. I'm recording this before practice, but we'll see if Marlon Humphrey's practicing in any capacity today. There's going to be coaches and players that talk to the media, so we'll see what they have to say. I know Marlon Humphrey's coming back soon. Not positive if it's this week, next week. I would expect it's within the next 2 weeks, though. But our Darius Washington is not going to be there. So, interesting move, surprising move. Disappointing move, I think. I loved what I was seeing from our Darius Washington. I think he's got a ton of potential. He brings a lot to this team. He brings a lot of feistiness and fight to this team. And I'm not saying Arthur Maulet doesn't. I'm not. I don't know. And we'll have to see. But that's where we're at with the secondary. So, a banged-up secondary got a little worse, to be honest with you, and that sucks to hear. We're still waiting on Odafe Owe injury news. That doesn't sound long-term, but it doesn't sound like he's just ready to roll either. I mean, he was in a walking boot. They're saying it's potentially a high ankle sprain, kind of like Linderbaum. So that could be a week or two. So, yeah, we're still fighting this injury bug a little bit. I don't love hearing all this. I am happy that none of it's serious and long-term season-ending type injuries. We got the Colts this week, the Browns next week, then the Steelers. I feel like we can get through this. I know the division games are tough, but these are very winnable games. Very winnable games. The Colts might not even have their starting quarterback. Even if they do, he's a rookie. I know he presents a challenge on the ground, but we play really well against rookie quarterbacks. They're one-dimensional. The Browns just lost Nick Chubb. Prayers up for Nick Chubb, man. That injury was terrible. The injuries this year, I feel like, are just rolling, I feel like we definitely need to do a better job of a ramp up like we talked about in another video. Does that mean more practice? Does that mean more preseason playing time? I heard a couple older players say they're just practicing and playing way less than they used to. and therefore your body is not as strong. You know, you preserve guys because it's such a business and they're making so much money now and they represent so much as a brand, so you don't want to play them. You know, you want to preserve them for the regular season. But then the regular season comes and they're not prepared, they're not playing as well, and there's more injuries. But anyway, to get back to the point I was saying, we got the Colts, Browns, and Steelers, and I know we're a little banged up still. But at the end of that, I would imagine a lot of these guys are starting to come back. And maybe before. I would expect Humphrey back before that. I would expect possibly Ronnie Stanley back, maybe Tyler Linderbaum. But regardless, my point is, 3-4 weeks from now, we should have everyone back. Maybe not Marcus Williams yet, I'm not sure, but they didn't put him on IR either. Marcus Williams decided not to get surgery, and they're not putting him on IR. So that tells me he could come back within the next month. So maybe this Ardarius Washington move is because we're having so many guys come back. Arthur Mullet's coming back. Marlon Humphrey's coming back. Marcus Williams is coming back. And obviously something was wrong with Ardarius Washington. I'm not trying to say that they're just shelving him. And then we have more guys coming off IR in week 5. Tyus Bowser, Malik Ham, Keaton Mitchell. So are they going to have a role? I'd expect Tyus Bowser definitely is going to have a role, right? And that's another plug to our defense that a lot of people aren't even talking about. Tyus Bowser will be back soon. And Keaton Mitchell will be back soon to add some juice to the running back room, or maybe not, because Jeff Zrebiec reported today that the Ravens have brought in Kenyan Drake, Ronald Jones, and James Robinson for visits. So they're clearly trying to add another running back. Now, my opinion on this is that they don't love what they're seeing from Melvin Gordon. I don't think that this is we're not going to use Keaton Mitchell sign. It might take a little longer for Keaton Mitchell to get involved just because he is on IR. He hasn't been practicing. He hasn't been a part of the team. Usually that does take a week or so to get back, and especially to be playing meaningful minutes in a game, it may take a few weeks. So we might not be just thrusting Keaton Mitchell into a role, And then Justice Hill got a little banged up there in that game. I think he's all right, but he did get a little banged up. So I think that this is just, hey, we got to add more bodies to this room. We're probably always going to have a good running game. I remember that one year it sucked, don't get me wrong, but that one year we had like Devontae Freeman, Latavius Murray, Kenyan Drake. We were plugging guys in left and right like week by week, and our run game was still efficient. So I'm not sure who they're going to sign out of that group. Kenyan Drake has been here before, so that would probably make sense, but they're going to see what Ronald Jones and James Robinson bring to the table. So we'll see who ends up getting signed out of that group. I'm sure somebody will. Probably leaning towards Kenyan Drake because he's familiar with the blocking scheme, but I don't know. Depends who's in shape, probably. It depends who's ready to contribute right now. And I still think Keaton Mitchell has a role for this team in the future. But in the next few weeks, he's still on IR. And then when he first comes back, I just don't think they're going to throw him in right away. So, signing a guy for the next few weeks as security is not a bad idea. And I think that's what they're doing right now. But the Ardarius Washington news does suck. But it was just weird that Harbaugh was on Monday. It was like, no, nobody's going on IR. I would tell you if it was long term. And then a day later, Ardarius Washington goes on IR. So we'll get more information today from the press conference, but that's where we're at right now. We have practice today. The injury report comes out today, so we're going to learn a lot more about who's out, who's playing. Is OBJ playing? Is Marlon Humphrey back? What happened with Ardarius Washington? And as all that information starts to roll out, I'll update you guys and make another video, but I was just surprised by this Ardarius Washington move, so I wanted to hop on and talk about this for a little bit. Not great news, but a lot of guys are coming back soon, and that's the positive news of all this. And our schedule is favorable. I know these division games are tough regardless, but they're winnable, you know what I mean? And we still have the majority of our offense. We're going to be able to score points. And our defense looked better than we thought it would. Our offensive line looked better than we thought it would. So I feel like we can trust the coaches a little bit and trust this depth of this team to get through this. Now, if we were playing top teams, I'd be extremely concerned. I was concerned last week heading into the Bengals game. I left the game less concerned just because of how well everyone performed. But I feel like we can beat the Colts even undermanned a little bit. But we'll see. I'm excited to see the injury report and get some more details on all of this. Let me know what you guys think about this. And I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.